All right, we're going to talk a little bit about wedging clay. Now, usually when you get clay, if it's either in your packet of supplies or freshly recycled here in class, it's going to look something like this. It's not going to be particularly smooth. It's going to be bumpy. It's going to have a whole lot of air in it. The reason why it has air in it is because when we recycle the clay, it's put into what's called a pug machine. And the pug machine is basically like a big bread mixer. And so all the clay goes in with a little bit of water and it mixes it all up, gets the dry parts out and makes it homogeneous or uniform. Now it also adds a lot of air into it. Air is bad specifically in ceramics because when we fire the clay or when we put it in the big industrial ovens, the clay gets extremely hot, like thousands of degrees. And we know that air expands when it gets hot. And so if we have lots of little bubbles in our clay that suddenly expand, it actually makes our pieces explode. So to avoid that, because, we work hard for our pieces, to avoid that, we're going to do what's called wedging before we use the clay. Now, if you're getting clay directly out of the bag, generally you don't need to wedge it unless it's a little bit dry. And that's because they actually suck all the air out before they package it. If it's recycled, it's usually a good idea to wedge your clay before you use it. Now, the way I'm going to show you is called ram's head wedging. There are a few different types of wedging. This is the easiest, and I don't know if it's more effective, but it's definitely the easiest way to do it. So let's jump into it. Okay. Now, there are a couple things to remember. The first thing is you want enough clay to kind of fill your hands. If you're working with too little clay like this, it's just not going to work. So fill your hands with a good amount of clay. If you wedge more than you end up using, that's not a big deal. We can always just throw it back in the pug mill, or you can reconstitute it yourself at home. Now, you're going to place it down on the table in front of you. If you're not doing it on a wedging table or a plaster surface like this, you do need one of the canvas cloths like this. Okay. Now, if you're doing it at the table, just grab a cloth. It's great to wedge on. It'll keep it from sticking to the top or to the surface of the table. Since I'm doing it on the plaster, I don't need that. So here we go. Clay's going to go down in front of you. Your hands are going to go on the sides with the base of your thumb right here, kind of in front of you. And what you're going to do is hold on to it. You're not going to squeeze it, but you are going to lean into it and push it. Now, you're going to roll this back towards yourself, and you're going to place your hands back in the same position. So thumbs in front, fingers around the back, and you're going to push again. Then we're going to roll it back, fingers around the back, thumbs in front, and push. And we're going to do this about 30 times. Now, if you're doing it correctly, you should end up getting a lot of cracks in the bottom like this. That's all the air and inconsistencies kind of leaving the clay. Now, you'll notice as you do this for a little while, it turns into kind of like a head, right? That's why they call it ram's head. It has a spiral on the outside and then like the weird alien face or whatever. I don't know. People name things weird. Now, if you're doing it right, that's how it should look. You should not be plastering it against the table. That's not going to do anything. So don't kill it. Hands on the side, thumbs in the front of the piece. You're going to push with your thumbs. Now, remember not to squeeze the crap out of it in the back. Hang on to it tight. Push it. Roll it up. Push it. Now, when you're done wedging, you're going to place it in front of you. Hands go on the top, and you're going to press down and roll it up towards yourself. Just like that. And you will end up with like a spiral on the outside. What we want to do there is just take your thumb and kind of gently smooth over those pieces. You don't want to slap it in yet, because if you do, you'll just pack more air bubbles into it. So we want to smear those creases shut first. And then we can go ahead and slap it. and then you've got a good ball of clay to work with.